Hello, everyone. This video is about working with a chart of accounts. This is chapter 2, and chart of accounts is simply a list of accounts used in journals and ledgers, right? And every computerized counting system has to have a way to add, change, and delete your chart of accounts. So let me show you how easy it is to do in QuickBooks. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we are at in QBO, and we're at the dashboard. We want to go to the chart of accounts. The book says that the easiest way is to go to accounting and then go to chart of accounts. And there you go. That's it. We're now looking at our chart of accounts. Now, all we have to do in this chapter is add, edit, or inactivate accounts. Well, if we want to add, we simply go to the new button. And then there it is. We'll go ahead and add our account. That's all it is. And I'm going to teach you how to do this. But I just want to show you how easy it is to get to adding a new account. If you wanted to edit an existing account, go to the one you want. Let's say we want to edit checking account 1001. We just go over here to the action button here, click, and hit edit. There it is. All we do is we just change the amounts and the wording here, whatever you want to change. This is all you do, right? That's it. Also, if you want to inactivate the account, which means, well, we're not really using it, so let's just get it out of the way, then we would go to the same place, to the action button here, and just go make inactive. I'm not going to do that, but that's it. That's all you have to do. Now, there is some confusion in the book, because apparently the book and what you see on the screen are not matching up. And the QBO just made an update. So my charge is to make things easy for you so you understand how to do it. But if you think about it, it's not hard at all. Okay, so with that, let me go ahead and start a PowerPoint presentation. All right, chapter 2, QuickBooks, chart of accounts. Now, one thing that I want you to keep in mind is before you start, you need to check for updates, because what you see in the textbook may or may not reflect what's going on in the QuickBooks Online program. Now, it's not the fault of the author. QuickBooks just keeps updating things in real time. So a textbook just cannot keep up with that. So what the author does is offer you updates. And I know that it's kind of confusing. So what my charge is to kind of organize things and help you get going. So I think my PowerPoint presentations are really going to be helpful. Okay. Here are some of the, the updates for chapter 2. This is a whole page, and I got actually another one too. Let's go here. Let's try to get this going. Yeah, another one. So I will say that I'm looking forward to chapter 3, because I don't think there's many updates. So it should be smooth sailing with chapter 3. But chapter 2, remember, it's pretty easy to do. We just got to know how to do it and get used to the idea that your textbook is not going to match exactly what the program is saying. Okay, so this is it. The focus is simply on the chart of accounts, right? We're not going to do anything else. Just adding, editing, and getting, what is it called? inactivating, I guess you would say. Okay. So these are the learning objectives. What is a chart of accounts? Well, I told you it was a list of accounts used by the business, and it's usually organized in groups of assets, liabilities, equity, revenue, expenses. And I'm going to teach you how to view your chart of accounts and use registers. Now, registers is just a way to quickly get in to see all the transactions that affected that account. Well, we don't have any transactions in it now, so the register really doesn't have anything to show you, but I'll tell you how to get to it, because eventually, you may want to use the register. Next, we'll be learning about account numbers. And what's really unique about QuickBooks is they don't require account numbers, right? And we accountants love them, and they organize us, right? Anything that's in the 10,000 range is assets. Anything in the 20,000 range is liabilities. It keeps us organized. But history shows us that QuickBooks thought that non-accounting people would be confused by that. So they don't even really need account numbers to keep them organized and make it work. We like them. So we're going to display the account numbers, and then we're going to enter the account numbers. I'm really not going to cover importing a chart of accounts, because they tell you that you can do it, but we don't do it. And I'll talk a little bit about aligning your chart of accounts with a tax return. And this is what we're really going to be focusing in on: editing your chart of accounts. We're going to add accounts or sub-accounts, edit them, and maybe inactivate them. Okay, now I'll just tell you a little thing about accounts versus sub-accounts. It's really easy, right? So yeah, you say, Pedro, it's easy for you. No, it is. Check this out. You guys will understand this. Let's say that you have an account called depreciation expense. Well, that's your account. And let's say, well, that's the parent account, but let's do some sub-accounts. We want to subdivide depreciation expense. So under depreciation expense, we'll have the sub-accounts depreciation expense computers, or depreciation expense vehicles. That's all it is. It's pretty easy. And then, of course, once we enter them and add them, we may want to change them in some way, and so we can edit those. And if we want to kind of get them out of the way because we're not using them, we can inactivate them. Okay. Now, this is what your chart of accounts list looks like. Okay. And to get to it, all you need to do is accounting, and then go chart of accounts, and then here you are. And so here, it just tells you the name. In this case, it's inventory, and the type, it's a current asset, and the detail type is inventory. So the type is the overall, what is it? And then the detail type is just a subcategory of this, in this case, a current asset. So subcategory of current assets would be inventory, right? And then QuickBooks is kind of unique that your chart of accounts will actually show you account balances. Isn't that kind of interesting? Not all computer systems do that. And then if it's a bank account, it'll show you the bank balance. And then over here is your action button. And here you can review the register, which is really just a listing of all the transactions that affect that account, right? And then also, if you wanted to edit, you can go in here too, edit or inactivate it, right? This is where that would be. Okay. Now, there are two ways to display the chart of accounts. And I've already showed you one way. You have, go to accounting and then chart of accounts. And there you go. And here it is. Now, the other way and I think you learned it in chapter 1, you could go to the gear icon and then choose chart of accounts. So those are the two ways, the navigation bar, or you can go to the gear icon. Now, if you wanted to view a register, this is how you do it. So I think this is on like page 86, and I want to bring something to your attention, is that your book says the account is called undeposited funds. And you know, for years, it's been undeposited funds. I know because I've taught the desktop version for a long time. Well, they decided to change it. So the name of undeposited funds is now payments to deposit. So you look on page 86. That's one of the updates. Just remember that. But it's the same old thing. Undeposited funds is payments to deposit. You know, you took the money, but it's undeposited, right? Because you haven't went to the bank yet. Now, if you wanted to view the register, so you can see the activity of that account, you would simply hit view register. Now, what's interesting is in your book, it says that this is what you'll see, you know, and there's no transactions, so it's any balance of 0. I tried it out, and now it'll just say there's no activity to show. Okay, so if you do that and it comes up with this weird thing, it doesn't look like your book, well, that's the way it goes. Okay. But that's how you do view the register right here. Now, account numbers are used to uniquely identify accounts. Like I was telling you before, your system could be, if you want it to be an asset, it's got to be in the 10,000s. If you want a liability, it's got to be in the 20,000s. Equity, 30,000s. Revenue, 40,000s. Expense, 50,000s. Now you can make whatever system you want, but this is a basic one that a lot of people probably use. It's easy. Now, in most computerized systems like Sage 100, let's say, there's predefined ranges like this. And when you enter an account and use account number that's in the 10,000s, it knows that it's an asset, and it's going to put that asset account in the balance sheet. Remember, computers are stupid, right? You've got to tell them what to do. If you had accounts payable or something, you put it in the 20,000 range, and then the computer program would know, oh, it's in the 20,000 range, that accounts payable should be in the balance sheet under liabilities, right? You know, it's interesting. If you screwed up and you put the accounts payable in the 50,000s, let's say, you would put that accounts payable in the balance sheet under expenses, right? So, but anyway, the point is that most accounting systems will use account numbers and ranges of account numbers to put things where they're supposed to go, if they're supposed to go on the balance sheet or they go on the income statement. Now, it's interesting that QuickBooks doesn't use account numbers. So instead of designating a range, you have to say when you add an account, oh, this is an asset. So you're going to hit an asset button and it knows, oh, okay, it's an asset. Or if you're adding telephone expense, well, telephone expense is an expense. So you're going to hit the expense button, and then it knows, okay, we're going to put that telephone expense in the expenses in the income statement. So we'll go over that a little bit later. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to display the account numbers in QuickBooks. Like I say, by default, those account numbers are turned off. So we want to turn them on. Okay. How do we do that? This is how we do it. We're going to hit the gear icon, then go into account and settings. Okay. Now this all matches your book. Thank goodness, right? This is good. So then this will pop up. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go to advanced, right? And once you get to advanced, you're going to go to the chart of accounts section and turn on this button here. It's enable account numbers. Make sure it's on. Check the box, show account numbers, save it, and then hit done. Now what will happen is they're going to add a column in your chart of accounts for numbers that wouldn't be there otherwise. Okay. Okay, but that's how you do it. Pretty easy, huh? Also, QuickBooks Online would like to line up the chart of accounts with the tax return. And the reason is, this is a practical thing. Intuit, the makers of QuickBooks, wants to make things easy for your accountant. So what we're going to do is, for our chart of accounts, we're going to assign it a line item that where it's going to go on the tax return, that type of thing. And I'll show you how to do that. Now, when you set up Mookie, you chose sole proprietorship. So that means that the tax form that you're going to align with is going to be the 1040 Schedule C. Okay. And notice here that on page 92 and 93 of your textbook, I ask you to, like, especially on 93, I ask you, well, where is cost of goods sold on the Schedule C? Because you were good students and you're here watching this video. Well, cost of goods sold, if you look on page 93, that's line 4. And it's going to ask you, where's the line item on the Schedule C for advertising and marketing? Well, that's line 8. Guess what? I just did your homework for you. And, you know, you look at those homework problems, you think, oh my gosh, Tetra's crazy. He's giving me so much work. That's one homework problem right there, just 2 answers. And I gave them to you, right? So don't get too freaked out about, you know, the amount of problems. They're some of them are kind of short. Also, I've been giving you 2 weeks for the each chapter. And so 1, 2, and 3, chapters 1, 2, and 3, we're going to spend 2 weeks on. Then we're going to go 1 week at a time. But because of that, I'm really going to back off on the homework. So, because I know you only have 1 week to do it. So it's going to be good. Okay. All right. This is where it really gets interesting. Okay. I'm going to teach you now how to add accounts, and that could be accounts. It could be sub accounts as well. And again, an example would be, like I say, the easiest one you could wrap your head around would be the parent account would be depreciation expense. But you want sub accounts under it, you know, so the parent is depreciation expense, and the sub accounts would be depreciation expense vehicles and depreciation expense computers. See how that works? Talk about inactivating accounts and also editing accounts. That's what we're going to do here. Okay. Now, to add an account, I showed that to you at the beginning because I just want you to get this feeling like, hey, man, I can do that. That's pretty easy. Well, yeah, it's easy. I think that the book is going to throw you off until you watch this video and look at my PowerPoint, because once you get into there, the screen doesn't look the same. But at this point, it's all the same. So you're going to go accounting and choose chart of accounts. And then all you need to do is hit new. Okay, boom. How about that? It's easy, easy peasy. Now, this is where it's changing. This is what your book says it's going to look like. And unfortunately, it's not. It's going to be a little bit different. Now, the other, you know, these are pretty easy. You know, instead of name, it's going to be account name. Instead of number, it's going to be account number. That's not a big deal. You can figure that out. And there's no such thing as this sub account in box anymore. It's different. The ones that are going to kind of mess with you until you see it, is the account type and the detail type, right? Now, instead of, a drop-down menu and picking bank and choosing bank, there's going to be icons up here, little circles. And because this is a checking account, it's going to be banking. So instead of putting bank here, you just click on the little round banking icon, boom, and you're done, right? Now, this detail type, it's now called tax form section. And man, I don't even know why they do that. I would put it past them that they're going to change that, because I don't understand why they would do that. I kind of understand it for, like for Schedule C, you have your expenses and revenues and all that kind of stuff. But, they want you to even put it in for assets. So that's just kind of unusual. But anyway, we're going to run with it. So you say, okay, well then, what are we going to do? We're going to panic. No, we're not. We're not going to panic. We're going to check this out. This is the screen you're going to see. Okay. So now, instead of saying, hey, this checking account is the type, it's a bank. So we're going to select banks. How about that? Easy, right? And this makes sense. Its account is called checking, and it's account 1001. Now, this save under account, that's where you do your sub accounts. And you say, boy, now I'm getting scared. I don't know what that means. Well, check down here. It shows you what it means. Look at this. So this is when you do this, this is the parent account, bank accounts. See this, bank accounts. And so when you do the checking account, it's going to go under as a sub account under bank accounts, right? So one of your bank accounts is checking account 1001. Now this is where it gets kind of interesting, because QuickBooks is going to require you to put some type of thing under tax form selection. This used to be the detail type, and I think what you need to do is there's choices, and you try to get to the one that you think it's right. And because I looked at the book, and the author sometimes doesn't even give you this. In the old days, I think this was optional, but now you have to put something. But I don't think it's that important, because this is not real life. I mean, we're not going to give this to our accountant. So, I don't think this is going to affect your answers in Connect. I don't think it's going to affect when you go to chapter 3. I would say that, the biggest and most important thing would be making sure it's the right category, banks, and, then the account name and the number, right? It'd be nice if you could do this too. So, but anyway, those are the 3 things I think that's the most important. You choose banks, the account name, and the account number. Okay. Now, on page 96 and 97, you're going to add a sub account called water and sewer, account account 5042. Now, and we're going to put that as a sub account under the parent utilities. So how do we do that? Well, we do it very carefully. What we're going to do is, we know that this water and sewer expense account is an expense. So we're going to click on expense. And then this is where our parent company is. Save account under. Well, we want to save it under utilities. And when you put that there, it knows to put that account under as a sub account under utilities, right? And then for the tax form, well, just check to see if something there works. Well, it does. I mean, you put utilities, so you're good. Of course, you got the water and sewer, right? And then you just save, and you're done. See how that works? But that's a sub account. The parent is utilities. And how do we get that as a parent? Because we put it, that's the parent. And then this will be then the sub account. So the parent and the sub account 5042 water and sewer, and that's under expense, right? Now, if we want to edit an existing account, right? Well, we pick what we want. So if we wanted to edit, let's say, this utilities, we just go over here and with the action button, click on it and hit edit. And remember that the only 3 buttons you really need to know is, new up here. And then if you want edit, it's here. If you want to make it inactive, it's still there. It's one of the options. So that's the only thing that you need to do. So, and editing is super easy. It comes up to that screen that you all know and love or will know and love. And you just make your edits and save and you're pretty much done. So when we do that, we hit this button, choose edit. And here it is. Let's say that we're doing the bank accounts. Go ahead and make your changes, whatever you want to change, right? And then you just click on save. And that's it. How easy is that? Now, you can also use the edit pencil to batch edit. What do I mean by batch edit? Well, you can do more than one account at a time. Let's say that you want to enter in a bunch of account numbers. Well, you can do that. Go ahead and click on the pencil. And then you can go ahead and put in your numbers. Just keep on going. It allows you to do that. And then when you're done, of course, you'll hit save. Also, I'm bringing to your attention that that undeposited funds in your book is now called payments to deposit. I'm sorry that you have to deal with that. I know you're just starting with QuickBooks and you want it to be, just perfectly aligned. And you guys are born too late. I think that's the future is going to be this online thing. They're going to push updates all the time, and you're just going to have to learn to be flexible. So yeah, it's interesting. Okay, but that's what that is. But it's easy to do. Now, how about inactivate? Well, same thing, you pick the one you want. Looks like I'm going to do the water and sewer count that we just did. I'm going to click on the action button here and then make inactive and then just hit yes. Now, I think in your book, it may say to do that. I didn't do it. I just said, well, you know what? I'm just going to leave it in there. I know how to inactivate it, but I just put it in there. I don't want to take it out. And if you leave it in there, I don't think it's going to matter. Okay. Now, I want to give you a helpful hint how to do some of your homework. So if you look at page 111, on page 111, you're going to have to go through these accounts. Like, look at the bottom half of page 111. You have to say, it lists like bank charges and fees, meals and entertainment, undeposited funds, which is now payments to deposit, by the way. But anyway, in this problem, you're going to look it up and find out what kind of account is it. Well, man, it's, if you look at your chart of accounts, there's a lot of accounts and you got 18 things to look up. And I said, God, that's a lot of work. Well, you know what I did? I filtered it. So the first one is bank charges and fees. In the filter, I just typed in bank, and guess what happened? It came up bank fees and service charges. The type is an expense, right? So I put that into connect and I'm done. Same thing, let's say with number 12 on page 111, open balance equity. Well, I don't want to look that up. I don't, it's like so many of them. In the filter, I just put open. Guess what? It came up. It's equity. Pop that into your connect. Now, most of these, you can kind of almost guess them and be pretty right. For instance, like Sales, you know, well, sales is going to be income. You see your choices: bank, other current asset, equity, income, cost of goods sold, and expenses. Well, sales is a revenue count, so it's going to be income. But if you wanted to see all your income accounts, you can also filter by account type. Now, what's interesting is they don't have sales. I notice here that it says sales of product income, right? Well, the type is income. So the answer is income. So you pop that into your Connect and you'll be done. So you can kind of, very quickly, I think you can do these 1 through 18, especially using my method of filtering and stuff. And you can also do educated guesses, travel, let's say, number 7, well, that's expense. How about retained earnings? Well, retained earnings we know is equity. If you guys went through Accounting 4A, so you kind of know how to do this. But anyway, you can do it kind of that way, guesstimate, or you can, use my filter method there. Okay. Now, on page 115, they ask you to add some expense accounts, right? And man, there's a whole bunch of them here. And they say, well, if they're not on the chart of accounts, well, then just go ahead and add them. Well, some of these I did add because I looked. Ask my accountant. It's like ask my accountant expense type thing. I didn't see that in my chart of accounts, so I added it. So remember, on page 115, all of them are in the 5,000s and it's under expenses. So notice what I did. All of them on page 115 is expenses. So I hit expenses, and then I'm going to save them under expenses, right? And that's my parent account. And then I'm just going to put them in. And I know that Ask My Accountant is account 5002, right? So expenses and Ask My Accountant 5002. Now, you have to put something in the tax form. And notice that the author didn't help us. You're kind of on your own, or I'm on my own too. Look and try to do the one that you think is the best. And I think this is the best one. So I chose legal and professional fees. Like I say, it's not that important, because if it was, the author would have made sure we do it, right? So I don't want you to get tripped up. I was flipping out because I'm thinking, man, how do I know? Because the author doesn't tell me. Well, if you put it under expenses, so that's the parent, you put it, Ask My Accountant 5002, and it's there, right? And here's the parent, and there's the Ask My Accountant sub account. And this is just icing. It's okay. All right. And matter of fact, I have all these examples for you. For instance, I've got one for car and truck. Again, all of these on page 115 are expenses. So I put it under save account under expenses. I put the car and truck as 5004, and I kind of looked and see, well, what tax form would it be? Well, the closest one I could see is auto. So that's what I did. But notice how it's working here. It's pretty cool. I got expenses as the parent, and then here's my 502 Ask My Accountant, and now I'm going to add car and truck 504, right? It's a sub account. That's how it's kind of working. Let's see here. You know what? Let's keep going. You can look at these. I didn't for you, but I think the one I want is this one. Now, job supplies. Again, all of these on 115 are expenses. So hit expense, put it under expenses, and then put job supplies 5021, and then do your best to find a tax form thing. And I put supplies and materials. And so it just keeps going, which is good. You can look at this one. You can look at this one. It's all going down the road. There's something I want to show you, because it kind of tells me something about how this works. Rent and lease. Okay, that's okay. Tax and license. Okay. This one's good. Now check this out. This is on page 117. And here, sometimes the account exists already, like accounts payable, right? I think it already exists on the one on top on page 117. Well, you don't have to add it or anything because it's already there. You can just put, your account number in 2001, right? That's what the account number is. So if it's already there, just put the account number. But if it's not, you have to add it. Well, there's no Visa credit card account. So again, Visa credit card account, well, it's a credit card. So we've got to put under credit card, right? And we're going to save it under credit cards, right? Because when we do that, we want it to be under the parent account credit cards, okay? And we'll put in Visa credit card account 2100. So it'll appear here. And as far as the tax form, like I say, do your best. And I chose credit card, which I think I'm right? That'd be the best one, okay? I look for unearned revenue. I didn't see unearned revenue. We know that unearned revenue is a liability. I don't know if you recall in accounting 4A, at least this is how I teach it. If you hear the words payable, that's a liability. Accounts payable, wages payable. Okay, those are all liabilities. If you hear the word unearned, that's a liability too. So unearned revenue is a cash advance, and you haven't done anything for it yet. So until you do, you owe the money. But anyway, that's the theory. But hit liabilities, and we know that that unearned revenue is under other current liabilities. So that's the parent. So we put that and see how it goes, other current liabilities. And then now we can put in the unearned revenue account, and it appears there. Okay. And then the tax form, I'm sure that I'm right. It's other current liabilities. So put that in. Okay. Now this is interesting. This is what I want to show you. This is on page 118. We're talking about supplies. Now, we know that supplies is an asset. And what's interesting about this is that we want it under prepaid expenses. And you may not think about supplies as being prepaid expense, but that's what it is. A prepaid expense is an asset. In other words, it's a cost that's going to benefit us in the future. And when I think of a prepaid, expense, I think of like prepaid insurance. It's a cost that we incurred now. It's going to benefit us in the future. Or prepaid rent. That's going to be a prepaid expense. But they want us to put the supplies under the prepaid expenses. So that's what we're going to do. So here we're going to save the supplies under the parent prepaid expenses account 1200. Now, when you put in the account name supplies 1210, look how it works. You've got the parent of 1200 prepaid expenses, and then you have the sub account supplies account 1210. And we're going to add two more. We're going to add prepaid insurance, and we're going to add prepaid rent coming up here. So let's do the next one. Okay, so this one is going to be insurance. And I wish they would say prepaid insurance. They don't. You're just going to have to know that this is not insurance expense. This is a prepaid insurance. This is an asset. So again, if it's an asset, we choose the asset button. And we're going to put it under the parent account 1200. And the account name is insurance 1220. Now, because we're putting it under the parent prepaid expenses, see how it works? Here's the parent, 1,200 prepaid expenses, and we're going to add the sub account 1,220. Goes right under the sub account for supplies. See how that works? But this is the parent account, and these are the subs. Now I think we're going to do one more, or maybe two more. Okay, we're going to do prepaid rent. All right, cool. We'll do prepaid rent. Okay, so here we go. Again, rent that's prepaid. It's an asset. We're going to put it under the parent prepaid expenses. We're going to the account name is rent 1,230, and when we do that, this rent, prepaid rent, I wish they say prepaid rent, because you got to make sure that you don't think expense. This is prepaid rent, not rent expense. Prepaid rent, but notice it's under the parent prepaid expenses. Now we got sub accounts for supplies, insurance, and rent, right? Now this one's different. This is on page 118. This one is renter insurance expense. So you can look at that on page 118. We're going to want, is that what it is? 118? Actually, it's when, oh, I need to make a change. This is actually 119. I'm sorry, it's 119. I'll change that when I get done. Here, let me look at that. I'm gonna change that right now. Yeah, okay. That's 119. But anyway, renter insurance expense. This time it is an expense, so we're going to click on the expense button. And I think they want us to put it under the insurance, expense parent 5010, right? And so we'll put renter insurance expense 5011. And when we do that, notice that 5010 is the parent, and then the sub account is the one we're adding, is the 5011 renter insurance expense. Okay. And then I want to make sure that this is, see, liability insurance expense. Liability insurance. Yeah, that's 119. So make sure that it's not page 118, it's page 119. Okay, again, liability insurance expense. It's an expense, so click on the expense button. We're going to put it under the parent 5010 insurance, and the account name is liability insurance expense 5012. By doing that, that 5010 is the parent, and then we'll add the sub account here, 5012 liability insurance. And then as far as the tax form, do your best. I mean, the author doesn't tell you exactly what to put here. It's got to be insurance. That's what I put. If we did this for real, we'd have to really take care when we set these up and make sure we're correct. But I don't think that this field here is going to affect us in the future. Okay. All right. So on section 2-8, they talk to you about, the accounting essentials, about what the primary financial statements are. We know them as the balance sheet and the income statement. Now you're going to find out that QuickBooks doesn't call the income statement the income statement. They call it the profit and loss statement, right? But what we did is we told QuickBooks, when we added the account, where it's supposed to go. So if we said that this was an asset, account that we added, well, it's going to be put on the balance sheet. If we said, hey, this is a revenue account, right? An income account, then it's going to go to the profit and loss. So that's kind of what we did, right? All right. There are some QBO videos. I think I have them in Connect, so you don't have to go here for them. But if you're interested, I haven't even looked at them. I just put them there just to see if, you know, if you'd be interested. It's other information, so that they are available to you. And that does the PowerPoint. One last thing, you're going to love this, is check this out. In Canvas, I have the account listing. It's the final chapter 2 chart of accounts report. And what you can do is when you're done with chapter 2, you can take my report and compare it to your report, and you can make sure that you have all of the accounts correct. And you need to focus in on the ones with the account numbers. These other ones, they were just built for us, but I think the author is going to be having us use these accounts for transactions. So make sure that you have the correct account number and the name, and I think the type is the best at bank. If you have these 3, I think you're going to be okay. But it took me a long time to do this, but I don't want you to struggle. And I want you to have some assurance that when you get done, you'll be correct. Now, if you don't have them correct and you move on to chapter 3 and the like, you may run into errors because you're trying to do a transaction, and then the screen will say, you don't have that account, you know. So make sure that you get these right. And so compare your report, your chart of accounts report, to my chart of accounts report. Okay, that should do it. I'm going to stop the share. And that does it for me for chapter 2. So you guys study hard, and we will see you again probably before I do chapter 3. I'm sure you'll be talking to me and things. But anyway, study hard. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.